Welcome to We Make Children's Books, the podcast that takes us through the imaginative minds of children's book authors and artists. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com. I'm excited to have with us the Vermont famed and highly talented illustrator and cartoonist, Marc Hughes.
Great to be here.
How's it going, Marc?
Excellent. Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
And so a few months ago, I had Sandy Murphy on, and she was talking about her book. And as soon as I saw the book, I said, I recognize that illustrator. I recognize that artist. She goes, yeah, it's Marc Hughes. You are one of the more well-known cartoonists in Vermont. You've been doing cartooning since 1989.
Well, I mean, actually thinking about that, I've been doing it since 1989 in the Burlington area, so Chittenden County area.
Wow. Okay.
But if you go back to the, the early 1800s when I was back in school, I did work in Springfield, Vermont.
Okay.
The Springfield Reporter, the local newspaper, hired me to do all sorts of things, and I had really gruff-looking stuff that I did back then. But I worked for a Chevrolet dealer. I did my poor version of caricatures back then of favorite people in Springfield, and I tried to do some comic strip work. That was back in my comic strip days, trying to get known in that area. So.
And you've also done some things, as you say, you've done newspaper illustrations. You've also done children's book illustrations as well, as we mentioned Sandy Murphy's book, but I also did one for Champ.
Oh yes. I did it in the 90s. The Lake Monsters came to me back when they were the Vermont Expos.
Okay.
And the manager asked me to write and illustrate the book, and I was so impressed by the fact that he was going to hand the whole thing over to me, and I think the original book was like 10 extra pages because I got wordy thinking that that's how you do stuff, and then I realized that. I had to cut it down for kids reading it and everything, and so I cut it down to a smaller book, but it's still something that's being sold at the grandstand. So, in fact, I was at work today, and one of the Lake Monster representatives came in to pick up. I work at a Vermont Flannel. I walk to work, it makes it nice and easy. It's a simple kind of job. And he comes in to borrow some flannel to use for a shoot. And I said, well, I don't know if you know who I am. I'm the one who drew the Champ book. And he goes, oh my God, hey, And I said, we should do something about that and revitalize it or, something. But it was fun. It was fun to be able to be that creative and to do the writing too, because I love to write too. And we'll probably talk about more about that. Yeah. Right.
And so for those, because since you've been doing it for so long, where have you seen the career of cartooning and illustration evolve over the last few decades?
It has changed greatly because of the computer and because of the internet. I did not get good advice in the beginning because I was very good with my pen and pencil. I was very good with my marker. I would illustrate with a pen or whatever, using a pencil first. Not in this case. I can actually draw straight on the paper this way. But I would colorize with marker. And but if you see the Bernie picture on the other side, that's all digital. That's all done on the computer. Okay. And the color is that much more solid. It's that much more vibrant, and it just made big changes. But my bad advice given to me was, you do the drawing. The people who know about computers will take care of that end. So it took me a long time to catch up, and luckily, as you could tell, I was able to figure out a lot of the stuff.
Right. And so what do you use for that? Do you use Photoshop or what do you use?
I actually use Photoshop. I have some. There's actually one picture in there that I had used Illustrator, but I have
Okay.
not learned enough about Illustrator to be that comfortable with it.
Right.
So a lot of my work really comes out of Photoshop.
Okay.
And I use I think it's pronounced Wacom tablet.
Okay. Yeah.
And I draw, at this point, I draw directly on the computer. I don't even use pencil and paper anymore, barely. So.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The caricature work that you see with the students here is all Sharpie onto 11 by 17 piece of paper.
Right. And do you still be able to do like caricature work for like fairs and events and stuff as well?
Yes, yeah, that's one of the areas that I'm still pretty busy at. I'm busy here too because COVID just like cut it all down big time.
Right.
There was hardly any work. My first job during COVID was a wedding that I think the couple just said, forget it, we're going to go for it anyways. Just invite less people. And it was like a small, intimate wedding and everything. And she wanted me to be there. And I was like, well, I'm not going to wear a mask because they're not going to wear a mask either. And and I want to be able to communicate with them. And so we had a nice big table and everything was pretty safe and we had a good time. So,
right.
But yeah, the weddings, I do weddings, bar mitzvahs, and a lot of project graduations. It's at the end of the year parties that they have for seniors.
Right.
So,
and it's because just for our viewers and listeners out there, being a caricature artist is not being a cartoonist. There's a different skill set involved in that, correct?
Yes, I like to emphasize that. I worked out. One of the reasons I was very familiar with people and out there in the crowd was I worked out on Church Street for 4 years. So I was a familiar face. People got used to me as the local cartoonist. And you were talking about things changing. One of the things I notice is the cell phone. We did not have the cell phone in the beginning of 1990.
Right.
And so what would happen, and I knew this was the way New England, Vermont was anyways, but people would communicate with each other. And word of mouth, I would have people step up to me saying, I have a job for you while I'm working on Church Street. And it was beyond doing caricatures. They recognized the fact that I could do other work and I would get these fantastic jobs. And it was great. The thing is I have a hard time finding it now because it's all websites and nothing. Was it optimization? I think that's the word. So yeah, so I'm doing better with that, but it takes a little bit. Yeah.
Right. And also like caricature drawing is that and I remember, I think you're saying this before as well in a previous interview, is that it's about highlighting some like physical features, but you don't want to insult your subject at the same time, correct?
No, I taught myself how to do caricatures. Okay. And I learned right away, especially, you do not want to pick on them. Right. And so when I see caricatures just go with the nose is big, I make it bigger, the teeth are horrible, I make them more horrible, things like that. I just did not do that. So I learned to be a little bit more nice to people and try to get their image at the same time. And it usually works out. So now the thing that's great about the combination with my cartooning that happened was as I got better with the caricatures, I got faster with my work. Okay. So when someone sat me down and said, can you do such and such? It'd be like, I could pull it out in seconds because I had been drawing off the top of my head for so long in front of people. And it was kind of a neat little addition that happened because of caricatures. So I do appreciate being able to do them. Yeah.
Right. And also too, it's like you're basically taking cartooning and making it into a performance art when you're doing caricatures.
That is so true. Oh my! And I've told people this before. I don't know if anyone can remember back to taking the big tests like SATs, and after you do such a thing, your brain is just so tired at the end. That's basically what happens with a 3 to 4 hour gig that I do. I
Right.
get so tired from having my brain just calculating, and even just the measuring of eyes to nose to mouth and all that kind of stuff is just all blaring through my head, and it's just
Right.
fascinating. Yeah. So
And so in a way, so are you a better cartoonist because you're doing character artists, or are you a better character artist because you're doing cartooning?
I believe I'm a better cartoonist because of caricatures. Yeah. So,
Okay.
and the
Yeah.
thing is that to go back, did we talk about the? Oh, we didn't talk about the hospital drawings.
Oh yeah. So before we went live, we were talking about the hospital drawings. Do you want to
Yeah,
talk
well,
to our
so these
listeners about that?
drawings were done on little pieces of during COVID. Anyone who stepped into Vermont University of Vermont Medical Center had to have these stickers on, and it usually was the date of that they were visiting, and that would prove that they were checked at the door, and that they were free of fever or anything like that. So it was white space. I started drawing animals and dogs and cats for the kids who came in, and the thing expanded from that. And so I want to go back to what the caricature world was. What it was is that the challenge was I could not draw anything. I couldn't look anything up for an animal. So when someone said triceratops for a dinosaur, I had to come up with in my head what a triceratops was going to look like. And then a giraffe. And I tried a hippo, never did look good, so I quit the hippo. But there was all these type of, and I ended up with, I think it was like 25 different drawings that I was doing daily.
Wow.
In the morning. And then myself and some of the other helpers would color them in. And we had these stickers to give to the kids. But I thought it was cool, the idea that I had to make it up myself off the top of my head. So I know that doing caricatures for many, many years was a help to do such a thing. So it was pretty cool. Yeah. So.
And you mentioned before too, is like when you worked on the Champ book, you were commissioned to illustrate it and write it.
Yes.
Was this, how was writing, did you find it easier to illustrate your own written work as compared to illustrating somebody else's written work?
I had done a lot of comic strip writing, and I've also had dabbled in book writing years before. Never really accomplished anything with it, but I found that I was good at putting the words together and then knowing what the illustration would be added to it. It wasn't the other way around. It usually was always words first out of a notebook or whatever, and then I would illustrate according to those words. And I had done that years before, so the Champ book was fairly easy. And I at one point I had some history in the book that we took out because there wasn't enough room. But other than that, it was all made up. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont. I worked for them for years. In fact, I just finished. They had done a walk for life, some type of campaign that I would draw for them once a year. But this was another thing that they put on my lap, saying, "Can you put together an activity book?" And I'm like, "What does that mean?" So, but I had to come up with word problems and do this instead of that kind of drawings, and be safe in case of a fire, drop to the ground, and just all these different fascinating images that I had to put together for this book.
Right. So. The question for you too is like for those that might be listening who are looking at wanting to be a cartoonist, a professional cartoonist, what's some of the advice would you give them now?
Well, one benefit for anyone you in their youth is they already know about the computer. They already know how it works, they just have a knack for it. And so anything that has to do with the computer at this point, they're going to know about it, or they're going to know how to research it, which is like, of course, so different than when we were growing up. So it was that type of thing. So already they have a chance to move quickly with their abilities. But the thing is they still have to have the abilities. I see so many images, let's say in newspapers or something like that, and it's clip art and it's all simplified. I do think you've got to practice. You've got to really hone in on your talent and get everything. Like, don't imitate. I had so many students. I substitute taught as a full-time sub in the Mount Mansfield Union High School. And what was great about that, I could sub and still work on my cartooning at the same time. So it was like a little kind of a tricky little thing I did. So, but the kids loved it. They were like, "Oh, Mr. Hughes, what are you working on today?" You know, so it was kind of neat.
Right.
But these kids would show me their work, and a lot of it would be imitating the anime kind of art. And I would tell them, I said, "This is great to start with, but you need to find your own style. So do not copy these people to the T." And I have to say, I used to copy Charlie Brown and all the comic strips I came across. And I had an art teacher tell me the same thing. He said, "You need to get your own style, buddy." So
right.
yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Having this career in Vermont, how that living in Vermont has a supportive environment for cartoonists as a career?
I would have loved to. I had met Corin, who I just saw that he passed away. Ed Corin, yeah. And I had met him, and I remember there was the Rutland illustrator for their newspaper, Jeff Danziger, and the guy from Montpelier who did a lot of work for the government also, and there's been a lot of other nationally known cartoonists in the area. I was always hoping to be one of them, overall. But I packed up a bunch of my work sometime, and I opened up boxes, and I found work from my past, the stuff that I forgot that I did, and I was amazed. I was kind of proud of myself at how much I had done and accomplished. And then there was a lot of murals that no longer exist because they're painted over or something like that. But I did a lot of work for the YMCA here in Burlington. And I had murals on the outside of Centennial Field in the for the Expos games, the Vermont Lake Monsters games.
Yeah.
So it's been and this in this book on Ned, this is a character, a mascot character that I came up with for a sticker company, websticker.com. The guy said, "Well, one of these days we're going to write a children's book about it." So he sent me the material and everything, and we started putting this thing together. It was probably just 3 years ago now. So yeah. So it's all these books are like things that even with the Plankton book, coming up with ways to promote it.
The Initiation Dream. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
I put this over here just in case. But so, well, let's go back to. You want to see it closer?
There you go.
I don't know if you had an image. It was from the I just published. This was a COVID publishing.
Okay.
It was this thing was written 10 years ago, maybe more, and I cleaned it up so many times, edited it a million times. You can see how many choices I tried to make with the cover right here.
Yep.
And it was I thought it was a really, really good story that I really wanted to get it out there. Couldn't find a publisher, couldn't find an agent. And so I decided to self-publish.
Right.
And what was interesting about the book is going back to what you said about writing and then illustrating an image. And what I realized with writing is that all these images were in my head of what it would look like in physical form. But I had to put words to it this time because it was a novel.
Right.
And I realized that I was able to visualize these things because my brain is constantly doing that. It's constantly coming up with a scenario. And I think that's how the book reads. It will become a great movie if it's when the screenplay is done. So, but I think it really reads like a movie in the first place because it's very fun. It's a very fun story. So
right. And so those that might be listening that are familiar with your artwork who would say, well, Mark, so you actually wrote a book. Do you want to give people a little bit of a synopsis of what Initiation Dream is all about?
Yes, it's the actual book was written because the dream in the book is something I actually had.
Oh, wow.
It actually included a wolf. And I kept telling myself, there's a story here. And I always had an affinity for wolves in the first place. But I also had a high appreciation for American Indians. So I wanted to combine the two without it being anything to do with Twilight. So I had to throw that in there for anyone who says, "Oh, is it like Twilight?" So, so the book is supposed to be like the shifting abilities, shamans, that type of story based around Indian folklore.
Okay.
And I took it a little farther and made it into what some people would call a werewolf book.
Okay.
I call it a superhero book because, in my opinion, my impression of a wolf has nothing to do with evil, has nothing to do with bad, and they are as community oriented, and how they work together is basically like the American Indians of the West. And I put that in the book about the comparison. And I say that this is why this one tribe chose to change into wolves because they had such a connection with them. And so my character, Colin Trask, ends up being the accidental chieftain of this tribe in nowadays Vermont. And that makes him able to turn into the wolf and also stay the man. So he ends up being the combination, and that's where the werewolf-ish story comes about. And it's based in Vermont. There's a little bit of Vermont history, and I threw in actual Vermont history of eugenics. That was a negative part of UVM, actually. So I threw that in there, and it caused, it's a little bit intense because of it. So,
Did you were able to identify and find like a line editor and like a content editor for your book as well?
I had lots of people read it. Lots of people give me advice throughout the 10 years, like I told you. And I did pay one woman to delve deep into it and edit it. And then I believe I had some help with the self-publishing. They're called Book Locker. And they were very agreeable and not as expensive as some of these places for self-publishing. And they helped out a lot bit. They were basically saying, if your stuff comes off as not very good, we're not going to publish it. So. And so I was like, going, oh, here it is. So, and they really liked it. So it was nice to know. And yeah. So it was, and it's a COVID project because I finally just said, I just got to do it.
Right.
Because it was this therapist friend of mine said, it really overall doesn't matter if you don't sell thousands of your book. You wrote the book. You finished. Right. You actually accomplished something that most people just dream about. And I was just like, all right, I can live with that. So, yeah. But I still would like to find my audience in the 15 and older crowd and see what would happen. So yeah, right. But it's my biggest comic. Well, it's not a comic strip, but my biggest storytelling that I've ever done. So which is pretty cool.
And it's listed as like over 320 pages.
Yeah, it was, and that was cut down as much as I could.
Are you looking at making like a sequel to the book or anything?
There is a sequel.
Oh, okay, good. All right, yeah, exclusive.
I was sitting on the beach in Old Orchard Beach, and nothing had come about. I couldn't find the agent, couldn't find the publisher, and I was just itching to get the book too. Said I'll just write some notes, and I probably started like 5 or 6 pages right there on the beach, and that's like a 200-page book that is not fully edited. It's based in Montana on a Blackfeet reservation. And in fact, I just had a conversation with people from Montana today saying my wish is to do well with this first book and then get my next book started, but I wouldn't finish it until I met with people on the reservation and gone to Montana. So, but I studied the hell out of that place. And I did Google Maps or Google Earth, and I came up with towns. I figured out all the road systems, and everything is based on like actual places, except for my town that I made up. So yeah. Okay. But it's so much fun. Yeah. And book 3 of the trilogy is 3/4 done.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah.
And that even comes with a map that I drew so I could understand the ins and outs of this special place that's in the story. So yeah, I got excited. Yeah. That was the other thing that I was doing when I was supposed to be substitute teaching. But like I said, the kid, and then when I ask a teenager question, I'd be like, going, do people still say, and the students would say, no, Mr. Hughes, we say this now. And I would change my book.
Right. Yeah.
I had access to such great help. It was pretty cool.
Right. So if somebody wants to learn more about your work, Mark, where's the best place they could go to?
My website, my cartoon website. I have both now. I have Marc Hughes. Yeah, marchughes.com is the art website, and Marc Hughes Books is the Initiation Dream website for now.
Okay. And all one word, marchughesbooks.com. marchughesbooks.com is for your author, and then Marc Hughes Illustrations is the place where people can come see your cartooning and illustrations there. And the good thing about it, for those that are interested, if you go to marchughes.com, you would also be able to see that local news report that we talked about earlier. To see that as well at the hospital. Yeah. So listen, Mark, what you need to do is, like, when you have your sequel book coming out for Initiation Dream, you got to come back on the show. We got to talk more about werewolves and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's some fun stuff to talk about. So, but when it comes to all the other things that to back on the Plankton story, that was a really amazing accomplishment. I think that was basically my first graphic novel per se of putting something like that together. So that was pretty cool. So I did like the interview with Sandy and get to talk about that. Yeah.
Well, perfect. So when is your sequel book coming out? Is it going to be coming out this year?
Because the sequel, it is true. I do want permission with
Right.
with that tribe.
Exactly.
I believe, yeah. And who knows? I did get the okay from Abenaki.
Okay.
It's actually a quote in my website. But she got to read the book, and she actually liked it. Yeah, she didn't think there was anything that was derogatory or anti-American Indian. So that was a good plus right there. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mark. This has been I've been looking forward to this conversation. I'm so happy we're able to sit down and talk.